Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, I am Angela and I find my paradise through reading. and I'm doing something a little bit different this time. In my last video, I was going through the things that I have in my bag and I mentioned something that was extremely important to me, and that was this baby here. So even though we talk mostly about books on my channel, this is a sort of a book, right? It is a bound paper thing with pages and cover. So this is my Commonplace book, and I just wanted to share a little bit about the Commonplace book, what it is, what I use it for, what is currently in my Commonplace book. And I thought it would be fun to share that and why it's so important to me. This is pretty much my second brain. And I figured this would be like a perfect time to show my Commonplace book because I just finished another one. And so I've only had this one for a couple weeks now. So it's not completely filled out. There's a lot of blank pages. I'm just getting started with this one. So it's a good time to show some of the things that are in here before it gets full of all kinds of super personal stuff. That's why I'm not going to show my previous Commonplace books, because as I use them and add to them, some things in there that I might be tracking or writing about or including in there are things that can be like super personal, even though it's not a journal or a diary. That's something that I have separate. The Commonplace book just houses a little bit of everything. So I'm just gotta be careful with that. So since this is a pretty new one and I only have like a handful of entries in here, I figured I would share. So we're gonna go to the overhead camera and we'll kind of page through this and I'll show you how I set it up and what's in here. Okay, so this, as I just showed you, is my Commonplace book. Okay, this is an Exceed book. This is A5 size. And I guess I should tell you a little bit about what a Commonplace book is. A Commonplace book pretty much acts as your second brain. It is a common place to keep all kinds of things, notes, thoughts, favorite quotes, lists, tracks, things you're tracking. So it's different than a journal, but this is just basically, you can brain dump in here. You can put in ideas, projects, just anything that like you just want to remember or go back to. So I keep this with me because I never know when I'm gonna need it, when a thought comes up to mind, or if I see something cool, or there's a cool quote or something I want to look into, I'll like jot it down. So you just never know. So I always have this with me. Okay, so to tell you about this book, okay, this is an Exceed. It's hardcover, A5. It's got a closing rubber strap. This comes with 2 bookmarks. There is an envelope in the back that you can put things in. This is dotted, so I really like the dotted graph lines, whatever you want to call it. The paper is just a really nice texture. It's nice and smooth and soft. Let's see. Oh, this, I love it. The pages are numbered, which is amazing because a Commonplace book should always have an index, and you can make your own index, but this one actually comes with a couple pages where you can write down the page number and the subject so that you can go exactly to where you need to go. Okay, so the inside first page has lines that you can put your information in case your book gets lost. Okay, and so here's my index so far. So I'll put on page 1, I'm working on Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. So the notes start on page 1, and then I left a bunch of blank pages so that I can keep adding. The dog is playing with his toy. And then with pages 7 to 8, I have a poem that I wrote. Page 9 is my favorite books of 2023 by month. And then on page 10, I start listing the books I read in 2023. So, and then I have some habit trackers. So we'll look at those in a minute. So coming over here, these are my notes. So up here, I have like Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. In here, I put my first reading of Meditations. And these are like it's my first round of reading this book, and I know I'm going to come back to it multiple times and reread it over and over and over again. So these are my initial thoughts and some of the quotes that I wanted to jot down in my Commonplace book. So the way I do that is like I'll highlight, put a page, and then I'll put the quote in print. And then over here, you'll see that, you know, the quotes are kind of like that, right? They're kind of like indented, and then I'll have cursive writing all the way across, and those are my thoughts, ideas. I'll have like definitions. So any place you see a page number, highlight, and it's indented, it's a quote from a book. And anytime you see cursive all the way across, that's me. That's what I'm thinking about or adding. So that's what I have so far. And this is a poem that I wrote. And then these are my favorite books of 2023 by month. Now for me, my month or my year, my reading year started December 1st. So December 2022 is, so that's why I have a favorite book in December. So December 2022, that was my favorite book. And then my year will end November 30th. And then following that, I have all of the books I read in 2023, and it's just got the book titles and authors. So at this point, I have read 80 books, and I leave a couple extra pages so that I can continue adding to it. And then we get over here to my habit trackers. Okay, so this is for September. I have my August in another one. And basically I will chart out 30 days for September. Habits, so I'll have Spanish, French, Korean, get up at 7 a.m., journal, exercise or walk, and drink 28 ounces or more of water. And then down here, I split it into, and here are like the actual like goals I want for that to achieve that month. So read a book in Spanish, read a full book in French, Korean, complete lessons 10 through 17 in Talk to Me in Korean. So these are like my goals to, you know, for the month. And so every day that I do, you know, spend some time with my Spanish, with French, with Korean, every time I get up at 7 a.m. on time, every day that I walk, I will fill in the square. And so by the end of the month, I can kind of see like how many colored squares and how well I did visually with keeping up with these habits. And then at the end of the month, I have EOM, so end of month results. So did I, you know, complete a full book in Spanish? Or if I didn't, like maybe I finished 75% of the book. Did I finish all of the Korean lessons? Was I able to drink at least 28 ounces of water a day? And that is why I don't have October filled in yet with any goals, because if I struggled with, say, drinking at least 28 ounces of water, if I did not do well with that goal, then I'm just going to move it up here and I'm going to keep trying. So that goal will stay the same. But if I was able to drink 28 ounces or more of water, like 90% of the time, I'm going to try to increase that, and maybe I'll try to drink 36 ounces of water or more a day. Same with getting up at 7 a.m. If I was able to get up at 7 a.m. every day or most of the time with no problems, up here I'm going to change it to 6:45 a.m. and challenge myself. And with my Korean lessons, if I didn't finish lessons 10 through 17, you know, maybe I only got to lesson 15. Then up here I would put, you know, change my goal to complete lessons 15 through whatever. So I want to, in some of my habits, I want to keep them the same and carry them over into October. And some, if I did really well, I want to push myself further, because ultimately maybe in my end goal, I want to be able to wake up at 6 a.m. and use my mornings to be more productive and do other things. So I'm just gonna, instead of trying to get up at 6 a.m. right off the bat, I'll just every month try to get up 15 minutes earlier and see how I feel about that. So, and I try not to track more than 10 things at a time. So I already have this highlighted and ready to jot down whatever it is I'm going to be working on. There are still 2 blank spaces. If I do want to add things for September, I can, but I might not. And one thing, I would love to give a tip about this. With all this highlighting and pens, to keep it from being like gray and gross and smeary, I always do the highlight first and then I write over top of it. So that keeps it like nice and smooth and not smearing ink when I'm highlighting afterwards. So here I just have like my content ideas, things that I'm going to be putting together at some point. Over here, this is like where I have my planned, where I'm going to be going to, one second. Getting some background noise, but over here, this is where like I wanted to, or I still want to go to school to be a cobbler. And so this is me trying to plan out how I can make that happen. Like, how much is it going to cost? Like transportation, the train, Ubers, walking, distance. So all of this, I'm trying to figure out how I can make that happen. And then over here, this is just basically my journey and like why I want to become a cobbler, what the process has been like so far, people I've spoken to, and things I've been doing in that area. And then towards the back, yeah, I have like some pages all the way in the back for Google searches. So what I do here is like sometimes I'll just like mark down the date and what it was I was looking at. So on August 17th, I looked up what is Taoism. I had heard that in passing, and then I was just curious, like, what is that? And so I Googled it, kind of wrote down a little bit about it, and that's something that I do want to look a little bit more into. And then how to tell if elderberries are ripe, Kindle 4th generation specs, did Walmart change their secret treasures brand, how to expand clip in iMovie for editing. And so, and that's like another section that I have in here, because sometimes when I'm trying to edit videos, I struggle with, like, every time I do it, I feel like I'm doing it for the first time and trying to figure it out from the first time and always looking up the instructions. So in this Commonplace book, I have a section so that when I am looking up on how to do something in iMovie or in any editing app, I'll look it up, figure it out, and I'll jot down my notes so I remember it for next time, and I'm not wasting so much time. And that's why I hardly ever edit my videos, because it's so frustrating and time consuming, and I feel like I have to learn it from scratch every time. So that's that. And that's pretty much it. So that is my Commonplace book so far, and it's got a long way to go as far as like filling up the rest of the pages, but they will very quickly get filled up because anytime I'm reading books, I'm adding quotes, I'm adding favorite authors, I'm adding thoughts, lists, and every month there's usually a book that I'm working on that I take a lot of notes on. This month it's meditations. Next month, I forget which book it's going to be next month, but there's going to be another book that I'm going to be reading that I'm going to set aside a bunch of pages for notes because some of these books are like pretty in-depth and intense. I want to soak them up, take notes, understand them, research, and that's that. So that is the Commonplace book, what I use it for, what it is, and what is in it so far.